Thursday, though. I'm going to have you guys do the class evals at the end, so I am setting my countdown timer now to make sure I stop. Okay, we are picking up, excuse me, in The Will of Albus Dumbledore, and I think this is around page 125. When Scrimgeour comes to the Burrow to read the last will and testament to Harry, Ron, and Hermione, or at least to read the parts that refer to them, okay? So, and we're not going to go over each of these, just a couple of them. To Ron, Ronald Bilious Weasley, I leave my deluminator in the hope that he will remember me when he uses it. Okay, deluminator, not illuminator. Illuminator is something that shines light upon. Deluminator, obviously, then is exactly the opposite, something that takes light away. Okay? He tells Ron that's a valuable object, may even be unique, certainly Dumbledore's own design. Why would he leave that to you? Ron, put out lights? Okay. To Miss Hermione Jean Granger, I leave my copy of the Tales of Beedle the Bard in the hope that she will find it entertaining and instructive. Okay. Why do you think he left you that book? She says, he knew I liked books. Why that particular book? No idea. To Harry James Potter, I leave the snitch he caught in his first Quidditch match at Hogwarts as a reminder of the rewards of perseverance and skill. Again, why did he leave you that? Harry, no idea. Okay. You know, to remind me if you persevere in whatever it was, you think this was merely symbolic? What else could it be? Scrimgeour, I'm asking the questions. Okay. I noticed your birthday cake is in the shape of a snitch. Why is that? Harry, Hermione, oh gee, I don't know, could be something to do with Harry being a great seeker. Okay. So, there's one other thing, however. Dumbledore left you a second bequest, a couple pages later. What is it? Sword of Godric Gryffindor. Notice he doesn't read from the will. He just says it's Godric Gryffindor's sword. Hermione and Ron stiffen. Harry looks around. He's, where is it? Not only what is it, but where is it? He says that sword was not Dumbledore's to give away. The sword of Godric Gryffindor is an important historical artifact, and as such belongs, and Hermione blurts out, to Harry. It chose him. He was the one who found it. It came to him out of the Sorting Hat, which is kind of an interesting statement, because we're never told prior to Hermione saying this and prior to it coming out of the Sorting Hat in the Chamber of Secrets where the Sorting Hat was before then. Has it been in Dumbledore's office all along? And when Fawkes goes down to rescue Harry, Fawkes snatches up the Sorting Hat, he shoves the sword inside it? Or has the sword of Godric Gryffindor been missing for 1,000 years? And it miraculously appears at that moment. According to reliable historical sources, says Scrimgeour, the sword may present itself to any worthy Gryffindor. That does not make it the exclusive property of Mr. Potter. Why do you think Dumbledore wanted me to give me this sword? Maybe he thought it looked nice on my wall, here he says, a decoration. This is not a joke, Potter. Was it because Dumbledore believed that only the sword of Godric Gryffindor could defeat the heir of Slytherin? Did he wish to give you that sword, Potter, because he believed, as do many, that you are the one destined to destroy he who must not be named? Harry, interesting theory. Has anybody tried sticking Voldemort with the sword of Godric Gryffindor? Okay. And Harry he's kind of on a roll. Maybe the ministry should put some people onto that instead of wasting their time stripping down deluminators or covering up breakouts from Azkaban. So is this what you've been doing? Minister, shut up in your office trying to break open a snitch? People are dying. I was nearly one of them. Voldemort chased me across 3 counties. He killed Mad-Eye Moody. No word about that. And you expect us to cooperate with you? You go too far. In other words, who the hell do you think you are? He can't call him boy anymore because he's legally a man. And what does he do? He jabs Harry in the chest with the point of his wand, which is lit. Okay? It singed a hole in Harry's t-shirt. Ron, oi! Want to give us a reason? Want us to give you a reason to arrest us? Okay. You're not at school. You've remembered you're not at school, have you? Said Scrimgeour. Remembered I am not Dumbledore, who forgave your insolence and insubordination. You may wear that scar like a crown, Potter, but it is not up to a 17-year-old boy to tell me how to do my job. It's time you learn some respect. And then Harry retorts with the famous retort that everybody says when somebody makes a statement like that. It's time you earn it. Does respect automatically... I shouldn't ask this question because it's rhetorical. It does. Respect does automatically come with a job title. No matter who the office holder is, you respect the office, let's say, of the president or of the governor or of the mayor. But what else does that imply? The person holding that office must also be what? Worthy of respect. Okay? Scrimgeour kind of apologizes. And Harry says, I don't like your methods, Minister. Remember? And for the second time, he shows him the back of his hand. So, Scrimgeour leaves. Harry, Ron, and Hermione tell the Weasleys what Dumbledore left them. Okay. Harry takes the snitch, and he sees writing on it. I open at the close. What does that mean? I open at the close. Sounds like a paradox, because opening and closing are the exact opposites. Okay. Ron, and the sword. Why did Dumbledore want you to have the sword? So they're starting to put things together, trying to put things together. How many Horcruxes have they found so far? Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Yeah, none. Are they even any closer? No. Okay, it's only been a few weeks since Dumbledore's death. I mean, you got to cut him some slack. So, chapter 8, we have the wedding. Okay. And we finally meet Auntie Muriel, who we've heard so much about. Ginny, in particular, previous book, harping on Ron for never having kissed anybody other than Auntie Muriel. And then we see her. You wicked old hag. Okay. So we see the actual wedding ceremony, a little bit of it, around page 143, 144. Okay. The same guy who presided at Dumbledore's funeral. So notice, this guy does weddings and funerals. Any correlation to any particular job title in the real world? Yeah, preacher of some sorts. Okay. We don't know what sort, but my dad used to be a minister, and he'd have his burying and marrying suit. Okay? Same kind of thing going on here. So we're gathered here today to celebrate the union, notice, of two faithful souls. Souls. So whatever this ceremony is, however it's performed, souls are united. Okay? Do you, William Arthur, take Fleur Isabel? And they do, it's implied. And then what do we hear? Then I declare you what? Bonded for a while. Until you're no longer happy with each other. No, it's bonded for life. Why? Because we're having two become one. Okay? He raises his wand high over the heads of Bill and Fleur, and a shower of silver stars fall upon them. Spiraling around their now entwined figures. Notice the image there. Bill and Fleur are now entwined. They're hugging each other. Okay? And these stars spiral around them, showing physically what's going on where? In their souls. Showing kind of what I've been suggesting, Rowling is suggesting about the wizarding world and the muggle world. The muggle world is like the physical world. The wizarding world is like the spiritual world. Okay? So, how is Harry dressed for this? Or how does he appear to everybody? Louder? As Cousin Barney. Why isn't he there as Harry Potter? Okay, because he's Harry Potter, kind of dangerous. Why else? He's in hiding. Okay. Well, who shows up? Who does Harry start talking with? Crumb. And Crumb points out a particular person. A guy dressed all in yellow. This is 144, 145. He looks at him and he's got a scowl on his face. Now, kind of led to believe that Crumb often has a scowl on his face. I mean, he's essentially Eastern European or Slavic. I mean, they're not known for being the happiest of folks. Who is that man in the yellow? Ron. That's Xenophilius Lovegood. He's the father of a friend of ours. Okay, now, notice that name. Zeno, I never remember. Yeah, it is PH. Xenophilius Lovegood. You're all familiar with Xeno when it's attached to something else. Close. That's not the word we hear much in our society today. We hear this. Xenophobic. Phobic is a word that gets used way too often, I think, in our modern vocabulary. Xenophobic, what's it mean? Fear of others. Fear of outsiders. Fear of aliens, if you want. Not aliens, but, people coming from the north or from the south, essentially. Okay? So, Xeno is other, or if you want, others. What's Philius? You said xenophile.
It's like the like or the...
It's stronger than that. It's love. Okay? If this had been spelled this way, however, it would be entirely different. Because this would be son of. This is love of. Love of others. Love good. Okay. Xenophilius Lovegood is what kind of character? Describe him for me, somebody.
Oddball, hippy-dippy.
Oddball, hippy-dippy. Notice both of those. First two reactions are what? Okay, what else? Are those positives? No. Oddball and hippy-dippy are kind of pejoratives. You're putting that person down. Oddball means what? Doesn't fit in. All right? Why doesn't Xenophilius Lovegood fit in? He believes in outrageous things. Louder. He's willing to wear a yellow suit. Okay. What else? Louder. Sources aren't necessarily credible. He publishes the Quibbler. What else? Is he judgmental? Is he closed-minded? Is he narrow-minded? He's none of those things. Each of those things are things that in our world, our society, people say, well, those are bad. Okay? What about his daughter?
Also an oddball.
Luna's also an oddball.
Free spirit.
Free spirit. Eccentric. Okay. In Luna's case, are those actually negatives?
No.
Is Luna in any sense, from what we see, bad? Is Xenophilius, in any sense that we see, bad? How? Okay, the symbol of Grindelwald, which is what we're going to get to. Is the symbol of Grindelwald bad? No, because it's not really the symbol of Grindelwald, right?
Well, it represents him. That, like the swastika wasn't always.
That's exactly what I was going to go to. Put this up on a big old flag over an American courthouse, and what's going to happen? All hell will break loose. Literally, it's like the pit will open up, and okay? And yet, 2,000 years ago, 500 years ago, yeah, not 70,
Well, Coca-Cola had ads, and there was an army division with that symbol.
yeah, 100 years ago, this symbol was not bad. It's thought that it originally, around 3000 BC, symbolized the rising sun. Nice. Illumination, enlightening, etc. The only problem is a crazy guy took it for his symbol. And so now it means something kind of the opposite. Yeah, but it's even older than that.
Yeah, we kind of have worked on like sculptures and stuff, and then they kind of do those because it used to be okay.
Yeah, it's people don't. I mean, there's archaeological discoveries just about every year where something is discovered with this, or there's a piece of pottery or part of a floor, and it's in a mosaic. Okay, and it's because it predates Christ. It predates, it goes back to at least about 3000 BC. Okay, it's found in areas, early populated by what are called the Proto-Indo-Europeans. Some people just say, oh, wow, look at that, it's a cool symbol. That it was just a cool design, but that it didn't mean anything. We don't know, okay? But Grindelwald's symbol, okay, does the same thing. The only problem is, who knows that it's Grindelwald's symbol? Does everybody know that? No. Okay. So, Ron and Hermione go off and dance, and Krum says, because if he was not against the floors, I would duel him here now for fearing that filthy sign upon his chest. Harry, what are you talking about? The strange triangular eye was gleaming on his chest. What's wrong with it? Grindelwald. That is Grindelwald's sign. Grindelwald, Harry says, the dark wizard Dumbledore defeated? Exactly. Grindelwald killed many people, my grandfather, for instance. Of course, he was never powerful in this country. They said he feared Dumbledore, and rightly seen how he was finished. But this is his symbol. I recognized it at once. What? He carved it into a wall at Durmstrang. So Durmstrang is where Grindelwald went. When he was a pupil there, some idiots copied it onto their books and clothes, seeking to shock. What kind of idiots do you think would do this?
Alt-right.
Oh, Malfoy? If he had gone there? Okay. You sure it's Grindelwald's? I am not mistaken. I've walked past that sign for several years. Notice, He killed my grandfather and lots of people. Kind of sound like this guy? Well, keep in mind, he was defeated the same time he was defeated, 1945. Right? So Harry and Crumb keep talking, page 149. And Harry remembers Crumb saying at the weighing of the wands that his wand was made by Grigorovich, or he remembers Ollivander saying that. And he blurts it out. You know, and he's like, how did you know that? Read it somewhere. Because Crumb doesn't know this is Harry. Okay? So Harry thinks, okay, so Voldemort's looking for a celebrated wand maker. What does that mean? But he's not sure. Page 150 or 151. Harry leans into Elphias Doge, or Doge, however you want to pronounce that last name, and tells him who he is. And he says, I read the obituary you wrote. I didn't know you knew Dumbledore so well. He says, of course he did. And Harry says, talks about Rita Skeeters. Rita Skeeter hinted that Professor Dumbledore was involved in the dark arts when he was young. What does Doge say? Don't what? Believe a word of it. Right? Not a word, Harry. Let nothing tarnish your memories of Albus Dumbledore. And we get the first instance in this book of this kind of formulation. Harry looked into Doge's earnest, pained face and felt not reassured, but frustrated. Did Doge really think it was that easy? That Harry could simply choose, and I'm going to leave the next word out, and I'm going to substitute this. It says, choose not to believe. Right? Did Doge really think it was that easy? That Harry could simply choose not to believe? Didn't Doge understand Harry's need to be sure, to know everything? Notice where Rowling is just juxtaposed. What is this really? What does this boil down to? One word. Faith. And this one? Fact. Belief. Knowledge. Okay. Harry's already wrestling with what to believe. What are his options? There are only two. What does Doge imply Harry should believe? His memories / experience of Dumbledore. His personal first-hand knowledge. Okay? Versus what?
The hearsay of others.
Okay? What he reads about Albus, Brian, Wolfrich, Percival, Dumbledore. I think Percival's in there. So many other names. That's it. What he personally knows versus what others say. Now, who obviously does the what others say include? It's not just Rita Skeeter. It's Elphias Doge. Okay? He talks about Rita Skeeter being a horrible woman, etc., etc. And then what happens? Auntie Muriel sidles up to him, being the drunken old hag that she is. And they start to talk, and she says, "Oh, we all know you worship Dumbledore. I dare say you'll still think he was a saint, even if it does turn out he did away with his squib sister, Muriel, you know." Harry's like, "What? Say that again? He did away with his squib sister?" Did away is a nice euphemism for what? Killed. Who said his sister was a squib? I thought she was ill. Well, I thought wrong then, didn't you, Barty? And she goes on this long little thing. Dumbledore's mother was a terrifying woman. Simply terrifying. Muggle-born, though I heard she pretended otherwise. Doge, every time Muriel says something, he essentially does what? He counter-says it. Okay? So, thinking of this is like reading, she pours what into Harry's mind? Imagine I've got 2 bottles here. Vinegar? I was going to say poison. She pours poison into Harry's mind. And what does Doge pour? Anti-poison. The antidote, so to speak. Right? And they go on. And I want to pick up to 153, 154. They're still talking. And Muriel says, where she gets her information from. Her mother was friendly with Bathilda Bagshot, she says. Bathilda did what? Described the whole thing to Mother while I was listening at the door. What should Harry know about eavesdropping?
You don't always get the full story.
How do we know that? Snape? What else?
Extendable ears.
Extendable ears?
Like when they're talking in the book.
Yeah, it goes back even, there's instances in the first book. Every time Harry relies on information that comes from eavesdropping, that information is always incomplete. Okay? And I think you can even consider Tom Riddle's diary a form of eavesdropping. Okay? Because it's all from what? Tom Riddle's perspective. Similarly, when Harry falls into somebody's pensive, unasked, that's a form of eavesdropping. Okay? It's only when he's taken in, not taken in, like has the wool pulled over his eyes, but it's only when Dumbledore takes him in, and then they do what? They examine, they evaluate, they discuss. I think that you can kind of trust those memories. All the memories he sees of Snape's, what's the problem? He doesn't have all the information. He hears, I don't need help from a filthy little mudblood like you, or like her, but he doesn't have what came after that. He does for a couple moments, but he doesn't have what really comes after that. Okay? And what do we see? The wedding gets cut short, or the celebration gets cut short, because the ministry has fallen, Scrimgeour is dead, and they are coming. Harry, Ron, and Hermione disapparate if you want, out of there. Hermione, bear in mind, she still has her Mary Poppins bag. It's got everything in it that they'll need. And they go to Tottenham Court Road, which is a pretty busy road in slightly North London, just off of, it runs into Oxford Street, which is the busiest shopping street in all of London. And they pull into a diner. They order, they talk. Notice who catches the movement of the 2 workmen? It's Harry. It's always Harry, who just in the nick of time. Okay. So they disapparate from there. We're going to skip a bunch. Hold on. don't have page numbers. They disseparate from there and go to number 12, Grimmauld Place. And Harry feels like he's going to be sick, goes into her bathroom, and what does he see? He bursts into Voldemort's mind. He sees Muriel, or shall we end it and feed you to Nagini? Lord Voldemort is not sure that he will forgive this time. You called me back for this to tell me Harry Potter has escaped again? Draco, give Rowell another taste of our displeasure. Do it, or feel my wrath yourself. Okay. What's Draco doing? Cruciatus curse. Harry felt sickened by what he had seen, by the use to which Draco was now being put by Voldemort. And we get Creature's Tale. Third paragraph. The grief that had possessed him since Dumbledore's death felt different now. The accusations he had heard from Muriel at the wedding seemed to have nested in his brain like diseased things, infecting his memories of the wizard. Next three words. He had idolized. Well, that's Harry's fault. It's Harry's fault that he idolized Dumbledore. Because what happens to every idol we create?
So let us down.
Yeah. I mean, look at what is happening in Hollywood. All of these people that, all too many people, held up as, I don't know what. Why they held them up as models of quote-unquote virtue, I have no idea. But what has happened, you know? They've been destroyed. Or politicians. Personally, I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. And that iceberg's going to do this. We're going to have a whole lot more actors and actresses and politicians, you know, be revealed to be the scum that they are. It's because Harry idolized Dumbledore that he's now having problems. Because what did Dumbledore repeatedly tell Harry? I make mistakes. Yeah, I'm brilliant. I know that. little humility there. And I make whoppers of mistakes when I make mistakes. Okay? But Auntie Muriel takes that idol that he creates, that Harry creates, and does what to it? It doesn't just fall. It's boom, you know, smithereens. It's as if everything that Harry thought about Dumbledore now is what? False. Infecting his memories of the wizard he had idolized. Could Dumbledore have let such things happen? Could he have let his sister die? Could he have let his mother die? Had he been like Dudley, content to watch neglect and abuse as long as it did not affect him? Could he have turned his back on a sister who was being imprisoned and hidden? And he thinks again of what? It's Godric's Hollow, man. I got to get back there. How come Dumbledore never told me? How come he never told me? He was from the same town. In Dumbledore, why did he never mention all those things, Harry says? Why did he leave the things in his will? And resentment swelled in the darkness. Why hadn't Dumbledore told him? Why hadn't he explained? Had Dumbledore actually cared about Harry at all? Or had Harry, foreshadowing, been nothing more than a tool to be polished and honed, but not trusted, never confided in? At least you didn't say, or had Harry merely been like a calf to be fattened? Because that would be the more accurate image. So, he goes off and he starts wandering around. He looks in bedrooms and he finds a letter from his mother to Sirius, handwritten, and he notices he makes his G's just like she does. Dear Padfoot, thank you. Thank you for Harry's birthday present. It was his favorite by far. 1-year-old already zooming along on a toy broomstick. He looked so pleased with himself. I'm enclosing a picture so you can see. You know it only rises about 2 feet off the ground, but he nearly killed the cat, and he smashed a horrible vase Petunia sent me for Christmas. So, when Harry is a year old, okay, July of 1981, the Potters still have, at least, in their house, a present sent, apparently, the previous Christmas. So what does that tell us about the interactions between Petunia and Lily after Lily marries James?
They're still on good terms.
They're still on speaking terms, at least, or gifting terms. Okay, maybe Petunia thought the vase was pretty. More than likely, she probably did. Whereas Lily thinks it's this horrible, ugly thing, but she keeps it. Why? Because her sister sent it to her. Okay. Of course, James thought it was so funny. He says he's going to be a great Quidditch player, but we've had to peck away all the ornaments and make sure we don't take our eyes off him when he gets going. Had a very quiet birthday tea, just us and old Matilda, who has always been sweet to us, who dotes on Harry. Sorry you couldn't come, but the order's got to come first. Harry's not old enough to know it's his birthday anyway. James is getting a bit frustrated. Shut up here. Tries not to show it. Sounds like Sirius, book 5. But I can tell also Dumbledore's still got his invisibility cloak. Here, I think I should just return this to you. Your father left it with me when he died. It would cheer him up, so no chance of little excursions. If you could visit, it would cheer him up so much. Wormy was here last weekend. Thought he seemed down. Probably the news about the McKinnons. I don't know how much to believe, actually, because it seems incredible that Dumbledore, and he can't find the rest of the letter. That's just enough information to what?
Raise his suspicions.
Water those seeds that Muriel planted. Okay. Those seeds of what? Doubt. He reads it again. Dumbledore's got James's invisibility cloak. Why? Harry distinctly remembered his headmaster telling him years before, I don't need a cloak to become invisible. And as we see in book 5, I think it's book 5. No, it's books, whichever one it is. What does Moody, the real Moody, do to Harry when they take him to number 12 Grimmauld Place? Cast a disillusion charm. Okay? So Harry can't be seen. Makes him invisible, essentially. So why do you need an invisibility cloak if you can make yourself invisible? That Dumbledore, what? It seems incredible that Dumbledore, what? Okay? So he keeps looking. Harry tells Ron and Hermione about the letter. He says, somebody searched the room before me. All right. So, page 186. Hermione says, Harry, I know you really want to go to Godric's Hollow, but I'm scared. I'm scared at how easily those Death Eaters found us yesterday. Makes me feel more than ever we ought to avoid the place. Harry, it's not just that. It's Muriel said a bunch of stuff about Dumbledore at the wedding. I want to know the truth. And he tells Hermione and Ron everything Muriel said. He says, I'm not upset. He lied. I just like to know whether or not it's true. Harry, do you really think you'll get the truth from a malicious old woman like Muriel or from Rita Skeeter? How can you believe them? You knew Dumbledore. Believe knowledge, or belief knowledge. I thought I did. You know how much truth there was in everything Rita wrote about you. When was the only time Rita wrote something true about Harry? And why did she do it? Yeah, she was blackmailed. She was about to be outed. Okay? Doge is right. How can you let these people tarnish your memories of Dumbledore? To tarnish them means his memory should be what? Shiny, gold, pure. Okay? He looked away, trying not to betray the resentment he felt. Is it resentment at Dumbledore for not telling him, or is it resentment at Hermione for not understanding? His need to know. But there it is again. There it was again. Choose what to believe. He wanted the truth. We're going to hear that phrase, choose what to believe, about another half dozen times throughout the course of the novel. Okay? And at the end, Harry is going to choose. And he's going to say something to the effect of, essentially, the truth is what he believes. Why was everybody so determined he should not get it, meaning the truth? What does Harry really mean by truth? The proof. The 100% incontrovertible fact. Well, how could he get that with Dumbledore? Would it be reading Dumbledore's autobiography? Why not, Grace? Okay. Because anybody who writes an autobiography is going to automatically do what? Make him or herself. And they might include bad stuff, the warts and all. But what about the things their conscious mind says, you're not going there. We're going to push these things down into the subconscious so that you don't remember them. Okay? So every autobiography is an edited thing. So they go into another room, R-A-B. And Harry finds out Regulus played Seeker. Harry played Seeker. Okay. So they search, and Hermione says, come on, let's do it the easy way. Oxio locket. It doesn't appear. Okay. Hermione says the locket could be anywhere in the house. Whether he'd managed to destroy it or not, he'd want to keep it hidden from Voldemort, wouldn't he? I mean, he wouldn't want Voldemort just being able to find it. Remember all those awful things we had to do, we had to get rid of when we were here last time? That clock that shot bolts at everyone, those old robes that tried to strangle Ron? Regulus might have put them there to protect the locket's hiding place, even though we didn't realize it at the time. There was a locket, she says. What? In the cabinet, in the drawing room. Remember, nobody could get the cabinet open. So they get Creature. Master, back in my mistress's old house with the blood traitor Weasley and the mud blood. Okay, so Harry forbids him to use that kind of language. Pages 191, 92. Creature admits, yes, there was a locket. Harry asks, where is it now? Gone. Harry orders Creature to tell him where. Mundungus Fletcher. Stole it all. Miss Bella and Miss Sissy's pictures. My mistress's gloves. The Order of Merlin, first class. The goblets with them. And the locket. Master Regulus's locket. Creature did wrong. Creature failed in his orders. Okay? So, Harry forces Creature to tell him the truth. How does he know Mundungus Fletcher stole the locket? Creature saw him. Okay? Harry, why did you call the locket Master Regulus's? What did Regulus have to do with it? Tell me everything. Okay? And what do we hear? When he was 16 years old, Regulus joined the order. Kind of interesting because it's when Sirius was 16 years old, he left home. Okay? So, Creature relates the whole story of how he went to the Dark Lord, went into the cave, the basin, all that. and how Regulus died. Right. So, Creature says he tried to open it, tried to destroy it, but he couldn't. And Harry says to Creature, I don't understand you, Creature. Voldemort tried to kill you. Regulus died to bring Voldemort down. But you were still happy to betray Sirius to Voldemort? You were happy to go to Narcissa and Bellatrix, pass information? Notice, Hermione doesn't give Creature an opportunity to speak. Creature doesn't think like that. He's a slave. House elves are used to bad, even brutal treatment. What Voldemort did to Creature wasn't that far out of the common way. What do wizard wars mean to an elf-like creature? He's loyal to people who are kind to him. And Mrs. Black must have been, and Regulus certainly was. So he served them willingly and parroted their beliefs. In other words, he doesn't really believe them. Why? He doesn't know any better. Okay? I know what you're going to say. Regulus changed his mind, but he didn't explain that to Creature, did he? And I think I know why. Well, Creature and Regulus's family were all safer if they kept to the old pure blood line. Regulus was trying to protect them all. Regulus's death, in other words, was what?
Sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice. Sirius was horrible to Creature, Harry. It's no good looking like that. You know it's true. I'm sure Miss Sissy and Bella were perfectly lovely to Creature when he turned up. I've said all along, wizards would pay. So, Creature's still down there, on the ground and everything. And Harry says to him, when you feel up to it, please sit up. Notice, it's not a command. He's not ordering. He's giving Creature total free will. When you feel up to it, please sit up. So what if Creature never feels up to it? Then he doesn't have to. Creature sits up. Harry says, I'm going to ask you to do something. I want you to please go find Mundungus Fletcher. We need to find the locket. We want to finish the work Master Regulus started, and we want to ensure he didn't die in vain. Find Mundungus? Yes. Bring him here. Could you do that for us? Notice, it's not in order. It's a request. Yes, is there a threat of force behind it? Because Harry's his master? Obviously. He pulls out Hagrid's purse. He takes out the fake Horcrux, the substitute locket, and says, and I want you to have this. It belonged to Regulus. I'm sure he'd want you to have it. Ron, overkill. Notice, Ron doesn't get it. It's not overkill. After they get Creature to calm down, he goes. Okay? So, they start talking about the things Dumbledore left them. Lupin shows up. And he shows them the Daily Prophet, and he says to them about 5-6 pages into the chapter, he says, Harry, you've got to realize the Death Eaters have got the full might of the Ministry on their side now. They've got the power to perform brutal spells without fear of identification or arrest. They've managed to penetrate every defensive spell we cast against them. And once inside, they were completely open about why they'd come. Okay? So, pulls out the newspaper, big 1-inch headline. Wanted for questioning about the death of Albus Dumbledore. And there's Harry's picture. Okay? So they continue talking. Hermione reads about the Muggle-born register. Just like Hitler created a registry for Jews. Right? And Hermione reads it, and Ron says, people won't let this happen. Lupin, it is happening, Ron. Why? Because all that is necessary for evil to thrive is for good men to do nothing. And there are plenty of good wizards and witches who are what? Afraid. They're afraid of the power of the government. And so they won't speak up. Muggleborns are being rounded up as we speak. Okay? They keep talking. Lupin tells them attendance at Hogwarts is now compulsory for every young witch and wizard. Notice, prior to this, you didn't have to. If you didn't want to go to Hogwarts, you didn't have to, even if you were magical. Of course, nearly every witch and wizard have been educated at Hogwarts. He says, but their parents had the right to teach them at home or send them abroad. This way, Voldemort will what? He'll be able to control their teaching. You want to indoctrinate a society? Where does it begin? School. School. How early does it begin? When I was really young, first grade was the first grade. That is, kindergarten was optional. Now there are some states where kindergarten isn't even the first grade, where you have preschool. That's required. Required. 4 years old. Okay. Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, 1930. Of course, the world is entirely different there because children aren't born. They're mass-produced on an assembly line. But what happens? They start at like the age of 6 months, inculcating the ideas that the one world government within the novel wants the children to have. Okay? They keep talking. Hermione brings up Tonks. This is around 211. Because Lupin has offered his services. I can help you guys. What about Tonks? Hermione asks. What about her? You're married. How does she feel about you going away with us? And they're newly married, right? I mean, hasn't been that long. Well, she'll be at her parents' house. Everything okay? But Kate, this is a 17-year-old Hermione asking Lupin, who's in his early 30s, everything okay? Do you want to sit down and we can talk about it? Everything's fine. She's going to have a baby. Wonderful, excellent, congratulations, Lupin. Really? So, you want to accept my offer? Yeah. She's knocked up. We're going to, Harry, wait, hold on. You want to leave Tonks at her parents' house and come away with us? She'll be safe there. I'm sure James would have wanted me to stick with you. No, I'm not. Page 212. I'm pretty sure my father would have wanted to know why you aren't sticking with your own kid, actually. You don't understand. Explain. I made a mistake in marrying Tonks. Remember the marriage ceremony? Union of two souls, bound forever, not bound until we no longer love each other. Not bound until I realize, oops, I made a mistake. I did it against my better judgment. I've regretted it very much ever since. Harry, okay. So you're just going to dump her and the kid and run off with us. Lupin sprang to his feet. Why? Because them's fighting words. Glares at Harry. Don't you understand what I've done to my wife and to my unborn child? I should never have married her. I've made her an outcast. I should never have married her. Past tense. Problem? But you did. In other words, the choice, what? Already made. Okay? What's he mean I've made her an outcast? Who's he made her an outcast with? Really? or a monk. Well, Bellatrix isn't all that happy about this. You know,
Her parents don't like the marriage, so.
are they really against it? Ted and whatever his wife's name is. Okay. Are they entirely against it? I mean, where does Harry go when he leaves number 7? When he leaves Privet Drive at the beginning of the previous book,
Yeah, what was it?
they go to Ted Tonks' house. Okay, and Lupin goes there. I mean, they got to know what's going on between Lupin and Tonks. I would think. Could be wrong. Okay, isn't it primarily? I mean, more so than anybody else, isn't it the Death Eaters and the pureblood maniacs? Yeah. Would Seamus Finnegan's Ma have a problem with it? Probably. Why? Because the rest of polite society also doesn't like this. Because what is this like in our world? Lupin's marriage to Tonks.
Interracial marriage.
Interracial marriage. Okay. Not much more accepted today than it was 30 years ago, 50 years ago, in the 50s and the 40s. Okay? So, what does Lupin say about his unborn child? It will be like me. He doesn't even call the child him or her, it, meaning it will be a beast, Lupin thinks. Okay? And Hermione goes, Remus, don't say that. How could any child be ashamed of you? She's looking at Remus and like, I don't know, Remus, you're a catch to me, man. I mean, great teacher, fierce, warrior. You go all dog-like, once a month, Harry, I don't know, Hermione. I'd be pretty ashamed of him. Yeah, really. Way to go, Harry. Lupin looked as though Harry had hit him. If the new regime thinks Muggleborns are bad, Harry says, what will they do to a half-werewolf whose father's in the order? And I imagine Lupin's going, now he's understanding. Now he gets it. My father died trying to protect my mother and me. You reckon he'd tell you to abandon your kid to go on an adventure with us? See, that pretty much just undercut that previous statement. How dare you? Why? Because Harry has said, you just want to get rid of what? To do what?
Your responsibilities.
Get rid of your responsibilities to do what? Go on an adventure? Is it really an adventure? Harry, Ron, and Hermione, Ron? This is not about a desire for danger or personal glory. How dare you suggest that? I think you're feeling a bit of a daredevil. You fancy stepping into Sirius's shoes. In other words, you were never man enough before. That's implied. Sirius was the one who took action before. How do we know? Snape's worst memory. Where's Lupin? Sitting back against a tree reading a book. While James and Sirius, they're the ones who get down to business. Torturing Snape. Does Lupin do anything to stop them? No. Could he? Yes. All that is necessary for evil to thrive is for Lupin to sit on his ass and read a book. Hermione, Harry, no. In other words, gone too far there, Harry. I'd never believe this. And this is Harry's ace. He's saving this for the last. He knows this is the coup de grace. He's going to slice him open. I'd never believe this. The man who taught me to fight Dementors. A coward. Harry, Hermione, how could you? It was easy. After Lupin draws his wand, Harry's blasted against the wall, and Lupin leaves. Don't look at me like that, he yells at Hermione. Ron, hey, don't go on. You shouldn't have said that stuff to Lupin, says Ron. Harry, he had it coming. Why? Because look at what the narrator tells us. Harry sees Lupin, and simultaneously he is seeing images in his mind. Broken images were racing each other through his mind. Sirius, falling through the veil. Dumbledore, suspended, broken in midair. A flash of green light, his mother's voice begging for mercy. All three of these people died what? Protecting, defending Harry. Why? Well, in Lily's case, in James's case, because he doesn't see that one, because he wasn't physically there, dying to protect their son. Sirius, dying to protect his godson. Parents shouldn't leave their kids unless they've got to. They've got to means what? Unless they die. Period. Okay. In case you don't know, J.K. Rowling's mother died before she saw any of these books published. Rowling was in her 20s. Her mother was 10 years younger than I am. Died of cancer. Her mother died as Rowling was a quote-unquote failure in the eyes of society. Okay? She wrestles with that. She still talks about wrestling with it. Parents shouldn't leave their kids unless they've got to. Jump to the end of the book. And we have an orphan. Teddy Lupin. His parents had to leave. Right? Hermione tries to say something. Harry just, he just cuts her off. I know I shouldn't have called him a coward. Ron, no, you shouldn't, but he's acting like one. Hermione, yeah, but if it makes him go back to Tonks, it'll be worth it. Notice for Harry, what is real heroism? Okay, he called Lupin a coward. So what's the opposite of being a coward? A hero. So what does it mean to be a hero?
Doing something even when you're
Okay, what else? In this context. Keep going. In Lupin's context.
Own up to your responsibilities.
Raise that child. That's it. Protect your wife and child. Die doing it. You want to be a man, Lupin? That's how you do it. Okay? And I think Rowling, through Harry, is telling her readers, you want to be heroic? Do what's required of you. Going off with Harry, Ron, and Hermione is not required. Okay? Did Dumbledore leave behind secret messages for Lupin? Nope. Did he leave behind messages to anybody? Go help Harry find what it is I've told him to. Nope. That's Harry's job. Harry wants to be heroic. What does he have to do? Find the Horcruxes. That's it. But that's not even being heroic, is it? It's doing what? It's doing the next thing. Okay? It's not about seeking heroism or seeking glory. All right? So, because they now have a copy of the Daily Prophet, what does Harry do? He's not only read about the registration of Muggleborns, now he reads exclusive extract from the upcoming biography of Albus Dumbledore by Rita Skeeter. Why in the world does Harry even read it? He's looking for answers in all the wrong places. Okay? And he gets to the end and we're told Harry had been wrong. What he had read had indeed made him feel worse. He looked back at the photograph of the apparently happy family and thinks, was it true? How could he find out? He wanted to go to Godric's Hollow. Even if Batilda was in no fit state to talk to him, he needed to go there. Creature returns. Okay? And Harry tells him he did well. Creatures willing to torture Mundungus. Harry says, no. Okay. And Mundungus tells them what he do with the locket. Or who has the locket? A woman who looks like a toad. Well, there's only one woman who looks like a toad described in the books. Dolores Jane Umbridge. So, they come up with the bright idea of raiding the Ministry of Magic. They're going to walk into, think the swastika is still up here, Berchtesgaden, Hitler's compound. Okay? And we get the chapter, Magic is Might. We find out Snape is the new headmaster. Okay? And we're going to skip a bunch. Let's see here. Yeah, we can skip that. They take the Polyjuice Potion. They turn into their respective three people. And they go into the Ministry of Magic, and they go into the atrium, where Harry's been a few times before. And there's no longer the statue of the wizard holding his wand up, the beautiful witch beside him looking adoringly up at him, and all three are surrounded by the house elf, the centaur, and the goblin. What do we have now? We have a witch and a wizard enthroned in glory. Okay? And what Harry thinks are simply thrones turn out to be what? Muggle bodies. Naked Muggle bodies. Okay? Harry looked more closely and realized that what he had thought were decoratively carved thrones were actually mounds of carved humans. Hundreds and hundreds of naked bodies, men, women, children, all with rather stupid, ugly faces, twisted and pressed together to support the weight of the handsomely robed wizards. And what is beneath all of these bodies? Big, giant letters. Magic is might. She wanted to keep the alliteration. Magic is power. My master taught me something about good and evil, Coral says. There is no such thing as good and evil. There is only power, and those too weak to seek it. At the end of the first book. Hermione, Muggles in their rightful place. What's this image suggesting? Witches and wizards need to take control. And everybody else, well, screw them. So, they go in, and we're going to skip a bunch. They get the locket. They free some people from the Muggle-born, commission. What else do they free? What does Harry free? Moody's eye. Okay? So we go on to chapter 14. They can't go back to number 12 Grimmauld Place anymore because Yaxley caught hold of them. And Harry shows them Moody's eye. So, let's see. Hermione starts to say Voldemort's name. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 6 pages in, 7 pages in, maybe to the chapter The Thief. And Ron says, don't say the name. He says, I'm sorry, it's just, it's jinxed or something. They don't know about the trace yet. So she's putting up, defensive spells for where they are. And skip over about 2.5 more pages. They now know they're holding a Horcrux. So they've got one. And we're told sudden awareness of what he is holding, of what lived behind the little golden doors, hit Harry as he spoke. Even after all their efforts to find it, he felt a violent urge to fling the locket from him. Mastering himself again, he tried to prise the locket apart with his fingers, then attempted the charm Hermione used. And Ron says, "Can you feel it, though?" "What do you mean?" Ron passes the Horcrux to Harry. It's like it's beating. A tiny metal heart. So, they have the locket. Now what do they need?
The means to destroy it.
Yeah, something to destroy it. They don't know what that means is. Okay? Skip about another page. Harry's thinking about the locket. Let's see, do I want to go there? Yeah, he's thinking about how he's going to destroy it. And we're told nameless forebodings crept up on him as he sat there in the dark. He tried to resist them, pushed them away, yet they came at him relentlessly. Where is the locket? It's sitting next to his bare skin over his heart. Neither can live while the other survives. It seemed to Harry, as he sat there trying to master his own fear and exhaustion, the Horcrux against his chest was ticking away the time he had left. He says, "Don't think about that." And then his scar started to prickle. He says, "Don't think about that." Okay? And what's he see? Bursts into Voldemort's memory, and he sees Voldemort torturing Grigorovich. And Harry says he killed him. Tells Hermione, but before he killed him, he read Grigorovich's mind, and I saw. And Hermione says, "Give me the locket. You shouldn't be doing this, Harry." We're going to stop there. We'll pick up with Goblin's Revenge. Let me turn this off so it doesn't go. Mike, if you would, if you'd still be willing to do that.
You said it's 309?
Yes, 309.